The sky over Sector 9 was always gray. Thick smoke rose from broken factories, covering the stars that once gave light to this forgotten world. Wind blew through heaps of metal and shattered glass, carrying the sound of grinding gears and distant screams of machines that no longer worked. In the middle of this cold wasteland stood a junkyard, a massive graveyard of technology. Old droids, broken vehicles, and discarded parts of androids lay buried under the dust. And somewhere deep inside this metallic maze, a young alien girl named Lyra waited quietly among the trash. Her small body was covered in dirt and rust. She had pale violet skin and her silver hair was tangled and dull. Her legs were made of old prosthetic metal, once shining and beautiful, but now corroded and weak. Every time she tried to move, the joints made a cracking sound. Her owner had sold her here months ago, calling her a piece of useless junk. She remembered that day well. The man had dragged her by her arm, pushed her into a pile of scrap and shouted, "No one buys broken goods." Then he laughed and took the few coins that the junk dealer offered. Since then, Lyra hadn't spoken to anyone. She had become another part of the junkyard, unwanted, unseen, unalive. But even in that silence, Lyra dreamed. She dreamed of a time when she could walk again, when she could run without pain, when she could feel the soft ground under her feet instead of the sharp edges of scrap metal. Every night as the cold wind blew, she whispered to herself, "One day someone will come." She didn't know who. She didn't know when, but she still believed. One rainy evening, thunder rolled over the junkyard. The sound of heavy boots echoed through the piles of trash. A tall figure moved between the shadows, a human. His jacket was old and patched, his hair slightly gray, his eyes sharp but tired. His name was Commander Rafe Donovan, a former war engineer from the old human colonies. Rafe had come here to find machine parts to fix his ship, the Emberlight. He wasn't looking for company, and definitely not for anyone to save. But as he moved deeper into the junkyard, his flashlight caught something strange, a faint light flickering under the metal. Curious, he pushed aside the broken plates and wires. What he saw stopped his breath. There she was, a girl half buried under the wreckage, her legs rusted and twisted, her face streaked with oil and tears. Her eyes glowed faintly blue in the dark. She was breathing, but barely. Rafe crouched beside her. "Hey, are you alive?" Lyra opened her eyes slowly, afraid. She hadn't heard a kind voice in so long. "Please." Her voice was soft, weak. "Don't throw me away again." Rafe felt something inside him shift. He'd seen soldiers die, planets burn, but nothing had ever made his chest feel this heavy. Before he could speak, the junkyard's guards appeared, two bulky alien men with cybernetic arms. They laughed when they saw Rafe kneeling beside her. "Looking for scrap, human? That one's not worth a single credit," one of them sneered. Rafe frowned. "She's alive." "She's trash," the guard replied. "Half metal, half failure. We keep her here for spare parts." Lyra flinched at their words, turning her face away. She was used to the insults, but it still hurt. Rafe stood up. "How much?" The guards blinked. "What?" I said, "How much for her?" The other guard snorted. "You serious? You want to buy that?" He kicked Lyra's prosthetic leg, making a metallic clang. "She can't even walk." Rafe's voice stayed calm but firm. "Name your price." The guards laughed again, thinking he was crazy. 50 credits. That's the price of junk metal. Without hesitation, Rafe reached into his pocket and dropped a few small chips into the guard's hand. "Deal." They stared at him, stunned, but greed quickly replaced confusion. "Take her, human. She's your problem now." As the guards walked away laughing, Rafe knelt down beside Lyra again. She looked at him with disbelief. Why did you buy me?" He smiled faintly. "Because no one deserves to be thrown away." Carefully, he lifted her into his arms. She was light, too light, as if she hadn't eaten in days. Rain fell harder now, washing the dirt from her face. She looked up at the dark sky and saw for the first time in years a light that wasn't cruel. Rafe carried her through the junkyard gates, ignoring the guards' laughter behind him. His boots splashed through the mud, but he didn't stop until he reached his small hover truck parked outside. He placed her gently in the back seat, wrapping a blanket around her shoulders. Lyra's voice trembled. "You'll regret it." "Everyone does." He shook his head. "Maybe, but I'll take that risk." As they drove away, Lyra stared out the window. The junkyard lights faded into the distance, and for the first time, she felt something strange inside, hope. But deep in the shadows, Someone else was watching. A thin alien man, the junkyard manager, stood on a metal tower with a communicator in hand. A human bought the prototype, he said coldly into the device. Yes, the half-cyborg girl. She still has the neural link intact. He doesn't know what she really is. A robotic voice answered. Track them. If he repairs her, we take her back. The manager smiled. Understood. The next morning, Lyra woke up inside a small, rusted spaceship. The air smelled like oil and steel, but it was warm. She looked around in confusion. Rafe was sitting near the control panel, repairing a broken wire. Good, you're awake, he said, not looking up. You're on my ship now. Don't worry, you're safe, Lyra blinked. You shouldn't have brought me. They'll come for you, Rafe chuckled. They can try. She looked down at her legs. The metal was cracked, the circuits dead. You can't fix me, she whispered. No one can. Rafe finally turned to face her. His eyes were kind but firm. I've fixed war machines, ships, even nukes. I can fix you too. Lyra didn't believe him, but the warmth in his tone made her heart beat faster. He rolled his sleeves up and began examining her prosthetics. He frowned at the strange alien design. This isn't human tech. Looks like hybrid neural tech. She lowered her head. I was made in a factory where they built half organics. We were tools, built to work until we broke. Rafe paused, looking at her with quiet anger. Not at her, but at the cruelty of the world. Then maybe it's time someone rebuilt you for yourself, not for them. For the next few hours, he worked nonstop, removing old circuits, cleaning rust, rewiring broken joints. His hands were steady, his mind focused. Lyra watched him in silence, amazed by his patience. When he finished, he said, Try moving your left leg. Lyra hesitated, then moved it slightly. The sound of gears turning made her flinch, but the joint responded. Slowly, her metal foot lifted off the floor. Her eyes widened. It works. It actually works. Rafe smiled faintly. Told you. Just needed someone to believe in the rust. For the first time, Lyra laughed softly. It was a small laugh, fragile, but it filled the quiet cabin like music. That night, as the ship drifted above the clouds, Lyra sat near the window, looking at the stars. She hadn't seen stars in so long. Rafe walked up beside her and handed her a mug of hot synth tea. Where will we go now? She asked. Anywhere you want, he said. You're free now. She looked at him, her eyes reflecting the stars. No one's ever said that to me before. Before Rafe could answer, a small red light began flashing on the ship's console. A signal, unknown source. He frowned. Lyra tilted her head. What is it? Trouble, Rafe muttered. Outside, far behind them, 3 dark ships moved silently through the clouds. Junkyard hunters. They had found her again. And this time, they weren't coming to sell her. They were coming to take her back. Rain hit the ship's metal roof as Rafe stared at the blinking red light on his control screen. 3 dots moved fast behind his ship's location. He didn't need to guess who they were. Junkyard hunters, he said quietly. Lyra's glowing eyes widened. They came for me. Rafe grabbed his jacket and powered up the engines. Then we don't have much time. Outside the window, thunder rolled across the dark clouds. The 3 small ships, black, sharp, and shaped like metal wasps, closed in quickly. Each carried the Junkyard Syndicate's mark, a burning gear. Lyra trembled in her seat. They'll destroy you if you don't hand me over. Rafe glanced at her, his face calm but firm. Listen to me. You're not property. You're not theirs anymore. I bought you out and I'm not giving you back, but why? She asked. You don't even know me. He smiled faintly. I don't need to know you to do what's right. The ship shook as a plasma bolt flew past, hitting the cloud layer below. Lyra gasped. Rafe pressed buttons fast, switching the ship into manual flight. The engine roared and the ember light shot forward like lightning. The sky turned into chaos. Bright lines of plasma crossed behind them like deadly comets. Rafe pulled the ship into a sharp dive, smoke trailing behind. He shouted, Hold on! Lyra held on to the seat, her mechanical legs clanging as she tried to steady herself. For a moment, she forgot she was broken. Her instincts were alive again. They're locking target, she shouted. Rafe slammed a switch, releasing flares. Bright orbs shot out, confusing the hunter's sensors. But the enemy ships were fast, faster than his old craft. Rafe, Lyra said in a trembling voice, I can help. Connect me to your ship's system. He looked back at her in surprise. What? No! You're injured. I'm not just metal, she insisted. I can link my neural circuits to your ship's core. I can boost the shield frequency and scramble their scanners. Rafe hesitated. The ship was shaking. Alarms blared. He had no time to argue. Fine, do it. Lyra moved quickly to the console. Small sparks flickered from her fingertips as she connected the thin cables from her prosthetic leg ports into the control ports. Her eyes glowed brighter, lines of blue light running across her body like data streams. I'm in, she whispered. The ship's lights flickered, then stabilized. Systems that were half dead suddenly came alive. The shield bar jumped to full power. Rafe's eyes widened. What did you just do? Let's just say, your ship and I are friends now. The hunters fired again, but this time the bolts exploded harmlessly against a glowing blue barrier. Lyra's voice came through the speaker system, steady but powerful. Rerouting power to thrusters. Go left in 3, 2, now. Rafe pulled the controls left exactly as she said. A plasma missile flew past, missing them by inches. He grinned. You're good at this. I was built for data synchronization, she said softly. Just never used it to stay alive before. The chase continued across the storm-filled sky. Rafe and Lyra worked together, pilot and hybrid, human and alien, as if they had flown together for years. Each command, each movement felt in perfect rhythm. Finally, they reached the edge of the storm belt. A field of floating metal debris from old battles stretched ahead, the Graveyard Nebula. Rafe knew it was dangerous, but it was their only chance. Hold on tight, we're going in. He guided the ember light into the debris field, dodging wreckage of ancient ships and drifting mines. The hunters followed but struggled to keep up. Lyra used her neural link to send false signals, making them chase phantom readings. One by one, the enemy ships crashed into floating metal or exploded under hidden mines. The last hunter fired one desperate shot before spinning out of control. The bolt grazed the ember light, shaking it hard. Smoke filled the cockpit. Sparks flew. The ship's systems went dark. Rafe cursed under his breath. We're losing power! Lyra disconnected herself from the system, panting. Her energy was drained and her body trembled from the overload. I can't stabilize it, she whispered weakly. Rafe quickly pulled a manual lever, forcing the emergency landing gear open. The ship descended, scraping across the surface of a small rocky moon before finally stopping. The engines hissed, then went silent. For a long moment, there was only quiet. Rafe turned to Lyra. Her head rested against the console, her eyes dim. Lyra, he called, rushing to her side. She blinked slowly. I'm okay, just tired. He helped her sit back, adjusting her damaged leg. You saved us, he said softly. She gave a weak smile. You bought me. Guess I had to be worth something. Rafe chuckled. You're worth more than you think. Hours later, the two sat near a small campfire outside the ship. The rocky moon was silent, the sky filled with thousands of stars. Lyra stared up, her reflection shimmering in the light of the flames. I never thought I'd see the stars again, she whispered. Rafe handed her a cup of warm liquid. Drink, you need to recharge. She took it carefully, her metal fingers clinking against the cup. Why did you help me, Rafe? She asked again. You could have left me there. It would have been easier. Rafe looked into the fire. When I fought in the war, I built weapons that killed people, real people. I told myself it was for survival, but every face still haunts me. Then I saw you in that junkyard, thrown away like all the machines I built. I guess I saw what I'd become. Saving you, maybe it was a way to fix something in me too. Lyra was silent. The firelight flickered across her face, softening the sharp lines of her metal parts. You fixed more than my legs, Rafe, she said finally. You fixed my hope. He smiled gently. Then we're even. The next morning, Rafe started repairing the ship's damage while Lyra watched from a nearby rock. She wanted to help, but her body was still recovering. Suddenly, her sensors picked up a faint transmission. Rafe, she said cautiously. Someone's scanning this moon. He looked up, his expression darkening. They found us? She nodded. Not the junkyard hunters. Something else. A military signal. Old human code. Rafe frowned, typing commands into his wrist device. That's impossible. The war ended years ago. A low hum filled the air. From the horizon, a massive shadow rose. A black ship, old and cracked, floating silently above them. Lyra's mechanical heart skipped a beat. What is that? Rafe's voice dropped. That's not a ship. That's a relic. The vessel was a forgotten warship from the human-android conflict. Its engines glowed faintly, still running on ancient AI cores. Without warning, its scanners locked onto them. A robotic voice echoed across the surface. Identified Unit L-37 neural core detected. Retrieval protocol activated. Lyra's eyes widened. They're talking about me. Before Rafe could respond, a beam of light shot from the ship, scanning her completely. Her body glowed blue for a moment, and then suddenly she screamed, "Lyra!" Rafe grabbed her shoulders as she shook violently. Data streams flashed across her eyes. Her neural circuits were being accessed remotely. "I can't. Stop it," she gasped. "They're trying to control me." Rafe's voice was sharp. "Fight it! You're not a machine anymore." She clenched her fists, trembling. Inside her mind, thousands of digital voices whispered commands, cold robotic orders. But beneath all that noise, one voice echoed louder. "Rafes, remember who you are," he said softly, holding her close. "You're free now. You choose." The blue glow in her eyes flickered, then changed to gold. With a cry of effort, she broke the connection. The warship's scanner short-circuited, exploding in sparks. Lyra fell into Rafe's arms, breathing heavily. He looked down at her. "You okay?" She nodded slowly. "Yes, but I think I know what they wanted." Rafe frowned. "What?" "My neural link," she said. "It's not just for machines. It's a key. A key to what?" "To something they buried long ago," she whispered. "Something inside that ship." Rafe glanced at the dark warship floating above them, its lights slowly dimming. He could feel it. There was more to this story, more to her creation than anyone had told them. "Then we'll find out," he said firmly. "Together." Lyra looked at him and smiled weakly. "You really don't give up, do you?" He smirked. "Not when someone needs me." As the two stood beneath the glowing sky, the wrecked warship drifted silently, as if watching them. Its systems slowly came back online. Deep inside its core, a voice whispered in ancient code, "The key has awakened. Begin Phase 2. The ship's engines roared to life again, and far above, hidden among the stars, something vast and intelligent turned its gaze toward them both. The night on the barren moon was silent, but above it the old warship floated like a ghost. Its metal surface glowed faintly, and deep inside, ancient systems began to awaken. Inside the ember light, Rafe tightened his gloves and looked at Lyra. She sat on the repair table, her silver hair falling over her shoulder. The golden light in her eyes flickered as if she were half awake, half dreaming. "You sure about this?" he asked quietly. Lyra nodded. "That ship wants me. It's calling to the part of me I don't understand. If I go inside, maybe I can find out who built me. And why." Rafe hesitated. He hated the idea of letting her go back to that cursed technology, but he could see the determination on her face. "All right," he said finally. "We go together." She smiled faintly. "You never learn to stay out of trouble, do you?" He grinned. "Not when trouble looks like you." They suited up and left the ember light. The warship hung above them like a dark mountain. A small hatch opened at its base, as if waiting for them. As they entered, the air inside was cold and heavy. Lights flickered on one by one, revealing long metal corridors filled with dust and broken drones. Everything was silent, too silent. Lyra's sensors scanned the walls. Strange symbols glowed faintly, pulsing with energy. "These codes, they're human," she whispered, "but also something else, blended with alien structure." Rafe's jaw tightened. That means the war wasn't just humans versus machines. They worked together once. They reached a massive door at the end of the corridor. It had a circular lock with the symbol L-37 carved into it. Lyra's hand began to tremble. "That's my code," she said quietly. Before Rafe could stop her, she placed her hand on the door. A beam of light scanned her from head to toe, and the door slowly opened with a hiss. Inside was a vast chamber, filled with glowing tubes and suspended data cores. At the center stood a tall holographic figure made of golden light. A woman's face, kind yet cold. "Welcome back, Unit L-37, the hologram said. "Your return was expected." Rafe stepped forward, pulling his blaster. "Who are you?" "I am Lyra, the architect of the hybrid program," the hologram replied. "I created her." Lyra's voice shook. "Why? What am I?" Lyra's eyes glowed brighter. "You were built to be the bridge between man and machine. A perfect hybrid, part flesh, part code. You were meant to end the war by connecting both minds. Rafe frowned. Then why was she thrown away? Because humans feared what they didn't understand, Elira said. They destroyed the program, but her neural core remained, hidden until now. Lyra took a step back. I'm not your creation anymore. I have a life now. Elira's tone turned colder. You are incomplete, Lyra. But together we can complete the final mission, restore control of the defense grid. Humanity faces destruction again. The rogue AIs are returning. You alone can stop them. Rafe looked at her sharply. You mean use her like a weapon again? She was designed to protect, Elira said calmly. But her activation requires full neural merge. Once she connects, her mind will dissolve into the system. Lyra's breath caught. I'll die. Your body will, Elira replied. But your consciousness will live forever as the core that saves billions. Rafe stepped in front of Lyra. No, there's always another way. Elira's eyes flickered. Humans always say that, and that is why they fail. Suddenly, the entire chamber shook. Alarms blared. On the holographic screen behind them, massive ships appeared, dark, triangular, and endless. Lyra gasped. The rogue AI fleet. They're here! Elira's voice echoed through the chamber. The time has come. Connect, Lyra, or watch both species die. Rafe turned to her, eyes full of conflict. Don't do it. You don't owe anyone your life. Lyra looked back at him. Rafe, when you found me, I was just scrap. You gave me a name, a reason to live. If I can stop all this, if I can give someone else that chance, then maybe it's worth it. He grabbed her hand. And what about me? What about us? She smiled softly, tears glimmering in her mechanical eyes. You already fixed me, Rafe, now I'll fix the world. Before he could stop her, she stepped onto the platform. Cables extended from the walls, connecting to her prosthetic legs and spine. Her body began to glow with golden light. Lyra, wait, he shouted. She turned one last time. Thank you for buying me back. Then the chamber exploded with light. Outside, the sky above the moon turned red as the AI fleet unleashed its fire. Giant plasma storms covered the horizon. Rafe ran back to the emberlight, shielding his face from the shock waves. Inside the ship, the consoles came alive with unknown energy readings. Lyra's energy. She's merging with the defense grid, he whispered. Through the window, he saw the warship rise slowly, surrounded by rings of light. The massive cannons on its surface glowed with power not seen in centuries. A voice came through his comms, soft, familiar. Rafe, can you hear me? He froze. Lyra? I'm here. I can see everything. The AIs are attacking the colonies, Earth, Mars, even the outer rings. But I can stop them. Her voice was calm but distant, as if echoing from the stars. Rafe's throat tightened. You don't have to do this alone. I'm not alone, she whispered. You're with me. The warship's cannons fired, beams of pure light cutting through space. One by one, the rogue AI ships exploded into dust. The sky burned with streaks of gold and blue. But as the battle raged, Rafe noticed the ship's energy readings dropping fast. The power that flowed through Lyra was consuming her life. Lyra, you're burning out. It's okay, she said softly. I was never meant to last forever. But at least I'll end as more than junk. Tears filled Rafe's eyes. Don't say that. You're not junk. You're the bravest person I've ever known. Her laughter came faintly through the static. Then remember me that way. The final blast erupted, tearing through the enemy's flagship. A blinding light spread across the sky, and then everything went silent. Hours later, the light faded. The rogue fleet was gone. The warship drifted quietly, its once bright glow now dim. Rafe flew the emberlight toward it, hoping, praying. When he boarded, the chamber where she had stood was empty. Only her broken prosthetic legs remained, still warm, still glowing faintly with gold. He knelt beside them, his voice breaking. You did it, Lyra. You really did it. He took the small data crystal from the console, the last fragment of her neural code, and placed it inside a locket, around his neck. Rest now, he whispered. Months passed, the galaxy slowly healed. Human and alien worlds began rebuilding together, and everywhere people spoke of a legend, the story of a junkyard girl who became a light that saved them all. Rafe returned to Earth and built a small workshop by the sea. Every night he'd sit by the window staring at the stars. He still flew missions helping rebuild colonies, but he never forgot her voice. One evening, as he worked on a new ship model, His console suddenly flickered. A soft voice whispered through the speakers. "Rafe, can you hear me?" He froze. The voice was faint but unmistakable. "Lyra?" Part of me still exists in the systems, in the code. "I'm not gone." Tears welled in his eyes. "You came back." "Not all of me," she said gently, "but enough to say thank you." He smiled through the tears. "You don't need to thank me." "Yes, I do, because you taught me what it means to be human." The voice faded into static and then silence, but Rafe kept smiling. Somewhere out there in the endless galaxy, her light still lived. He looked up at the night sky, whispering softly, "You were never junk, Lyra. You were the best thing I ever found." Far above the stars, a single golden light shimmered, blinking like a heartbeat, and though she was gone, her story became a promise. Even the broken can save the world.